Hi there, it's Kirk at the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. I am delighted to announce I have the bass player from English alternative metal quartet Dialekt. So we've got Matt Agostiniak and the drummer, Jim Reeve. We're about to admit him now, Matt. Great timing from the drummer. That's his job, timekeeping.
I think he's just joining now, yeah.
Hi, Jim.
Hello. 1 second. I'm connected from my computer, but let me just use the phone because then you can see me. Hold on 1 sec.
Your timing's perfect. We were just about to start, and I said, obviously, your job is timekeeping. So, no need for me to repeat that joke again. And I'm laughing at it. My own joke. That's tragic. Jim, just while you're sorting out that, we're going to do a discography review of the 5 singles that you've released to date. And as soon as your camera comes on, we're going to start at January 2018, your debut single, The Fight. In fact, Matt, do you want to get us underway on that? Tell us about this song. How did it come into creation?
So, The Fight was the first one we have actually recorded, but it's not the first one we made. They just didn't get through the single. At the beginning, we were sort of almost like a new metal band, really. We had a different singer who was more into rapping and stuff like that, but he wasn't that great of a singer. He was a good rapper, but we wanted something more, so when we have found Matt Haynes, obviously he could grow, he can sing, he wrote great lyrics. We actually had The Fight in creation. So as soon as we got it, we thought like, yeah, let's just record it, get it out there and see what's going to happen. And we always knew it's going to be, we really wanted to find like a boxing ring or an octagon for the music video, and believe it or not, we actually found it. It was a great place, and it was abandoned because it was like a newly built gym or something, so we had the whole place for ourselves, really cheap. It was recorded by our friend who pretty much recorded all of our singles, and we just made it together. The song was recorded in the Parlo studio in Kettering, which is, since then, it's our like home studio. We've done all our singles there. The sound engineer is really great. So, well, the song lyrically is sort of about, well, it's about fighting through the life, right? Because as
Fortitude, resilience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what this is about. Because it's with this world. I mean, all our lyrics are sort of touching some sensitive subjects. Because that's all Matt Haynes, our singer, basically. He's been going through some tough times, and it's not great, but it's good for lyric writing, apparently.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to have to make an admission because I'm really, really bad at listening to lyrics and songs, so I actually don't know what any of our songs are about.
you're just playing the groove, mate, aren't you?
Yeah, but I know, yeah, to echo what Matt, bassist, has said, Matt, the singer, I think he's got a big heart and he's been through some tough stuff, so I think he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's actually quite a versatile vocalist as well. He's got, I think, a pretty decent scream and a reasonably good singing voice, which I think is slightly rare, perhaps, in some of the heavier metal circles. So I think we're really lucky to have him.
Yeah, he definitely uses that good cop, bad cop technique on this song, doesn't he? I love the opening riff. It reminds me of Deftones. I mean, admission, I'm not really a fan of new metal. I didn't like it at the time. I was already an elitist by 2001. I was like, unless it's black metal like Glencore or from Northern Europe, I'm not interested. But I always did like the first Korn and Deftones albums, and really weighty riff there. Yeah, you're right. Quite bloodthirsty, I would say. Matt's harsh vocals on this song. Real good groove to it. Yeah, and do you know what, Matt, you the bassist, there's a really good rolling bass line, isn't there? When in the verse parts, when the guitar player's playing those like high register melodic parts, you can really hear the growl of your bass guitar underneath. Great production at that Kettering studio.
It's, well, I mean, it's obviously the song is completed and everything, but we're preparing to release an album. So all those singles have been worked on a bit. You know, the song is, you always want to add something, even if it's finished, right?
Yeah.
So if you have an opportunity to do it, that's great, because obviously as we go, we are getting better, basically, because we've been playing together. We started understand each other musically and stuff, and you know where some parts could be added, where you should pull back and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that the album version going to be even better.
Yeah.
Did you redo the bass on the fight yet, Matt? Can't remember.
What's that?
We've got to go back and do that, have we?
Oh, you're re-recording it for the debut album.
Well, so that's the thing. There's so the fight was pre me joining the band. There was another drummer, and there's a number of these songs that were originally written before I was there, but also, you know, over time, the guys have been listening to it and they go, "Oh, I wish I'd done this riff here," or whatever. So there are always these small little nuggets that, yeah, and everyone has this, right? You listen to your own music, you go, "Oh, I know we can do better the second time round." So we thought, you know, we'd take this opportunity this year and a little bit at the end of last year to go back, have a look at those old tracks, and bring them up to the same level that we've got some of the newer ones coming through, with the idea that we'd like to, you know, produce some kind of LP.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. One thing I was going to say that I know won't need to change because he's put so much thought into it, but Marius, that lead guitar solo, that is not mindless shredding. That is like Dimebag Darrell of Pantera. When you can hear those ascending and descending scale runs, absolute perfection. And to me, this is why you're definitely not a new metal band. Not when you play into that level of virtuosity. So as soon as I heard that, I was just thinking, is he a guitar teacher by any chance?
No, he's a self-taught, believe it or not.
Right.
It's just, Marius is like, whenever he focuses on something, he goes all in. So now he's into photography, so he started buying all the books, new cameras, he's reading all the tricks and tips, and yeah, he's a brilliant guitarist. He's basically main songwriter, really, because I don't know how he does it, but he kind of knows how the song's supposed to be structured. So it's, you know,
He's got a good ear
with all the ups and downs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need that in rock and metal as well, don't you? I mean, like, I'm also the lead editor of a publication called Scream Blast Repeat, and we review a lot of extreme metal. And this week I was reviewing a Tech Death album. I'll not say the name of the artist, but there was no dynamic variation. Everything was just shredded at 260 beats per minute at full tilt. And after 3 songs, I'm thinking, God, can you give me something else? Whereas obviously what you're doing, and you said he's the songwriter, we'll actually move on to the second song that you released as a single, Speak to Me, May 2018. I think there's a bit more of a mainstream approach to songwriting in this. Am I right, or am I off the mark with that observation?
Yeah, so Speak to Me was recorded pretty much the same session as the fight, but obviously we didn't want to release one after another. We wanted to give it some time and think about how to put some music video that's fairly cheap but still interesting. And we call it the radio song, really, because it does have some catchy riffs, but it's lighter, right? You have obviously that heavy bridge at the end that just jumps out of nowhere, but it is quite jumpy song, I would say.
Well, this Speak to Me and Demons and that sort of set of songs that were written around that sort of time are a lot more sort of metalcore, really, I would say. And that's personally what interests me more. I come from an alt rock background as opposed to a metal background, so I like the pop metal stuff. The light in the shade, I think, gives it some more depth. Nothing wrong with really really angry song 100% all the way through, but I don't think it would be for me if the band was only about that. So yeah, we like to have the light and the shade.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's quite bass heavy, this song. It's got a bit of a hard rock extravaganza to it. Jim, actually, because you were in the band at the time, let me just ask you, what do you think about the vocal style in that first verse when Matt starts singing? What's your opinion on that? Because to me, the reason I'm asking is I was quite surprised. I thought he would go for a more husky voice, and he's actually gone for a really unorthodox, almost like Morrissey-esque approach. A lot of classical English phonation in the voice. Did you pick up on that when you first heard the song?
You put me on the spot, and I'm thinking, God, did he do that? Did he sound sort of folky? No, but I think I just go back to Matt being a really versatile vocalist. So no, I didn't pick up on it, to be honest. But it's still melodic, still tuneful to me, and it's got some of the passion coming through. So that's what we like to see.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more aggressive leading up to the vocal, and there is in the middle eight, there's a clear mosh part there, isn't there, where you've got this rotating 4/4 groove metal riff, which is excellent, and it's just what's needed there as well. So yeah, I think with this one, my only criticism of this one, I think it tries too hard to be an anthem, whereas when we get to later songs, I think you really do pull it off. Certainly on later songs, Matt.
Just on that, I think you're probably right, and for that reason, we haven't played "Speak to Me" in a set for I don't know, a year or so. I think probably what you're coming on to is some of the other songs are indeed more anthemic, and that's
Again, I like the song, but I just think it just tries a bit too hard to really force that chorus upon you. Good lyrics though when I was reading through them. So Matt, you said you recorded this in the same session as The Fight. Are there anything else that you remember from that time that really you look back on with great fondness when you were recording this song?
That feels like ages ago, really. We were it was the first time for me to be in a studio, so that was pretty stressful. I think the same for Matt. Matt was actually a drummer before he decided to jump to be a singer, so he had some more experience. But no, I remember it went pretty smoothly. We were just having some thoughts about some harmonies in there, and our sound engineer also helped a lot, saying like maybe you could lay it like that or change something, but it was really pretty much recorded as we have composed it. So I just remember I had a pretty hard time to actually lay down the main riff because it felt like it would need an extra something, but I think it turned out great. I think we're going to revise that.
You said that was the first time that you were in the studio, Matt? Well, both Matts. Did you suffer from any red light syndrome, or was it all good?
No, because we were recording just sitting on the bench next to the sound engineer, so it was just it was very relaxed. Really.
Yeah, well, easy for you, but what about Matt going into the other room?
Yeah.
Headphones on, isolated from everybody.
He had some time adjusting. Yeah, I think he did a great job.
A lot more pressure it feels, doesn't it? Like if you're a vocalist, as you said there, you're in the vocal booth, you're isolated. He was formerly a drummer, and this is his first time laying down vocals. I think he did a great job in this session. Can I move on to the third single then? This is one of my favourites. I really like this. So, Underwater, released in October 2019. Jim, you're still not in the band by this stage, are you?
I'm not, but we've since added to most of our songs quite a lot of extra orchestration that you won't have heard unless you've seen us play live. And so, although I wasn't there for the original recording, I can certainly talk about some of the extra bits that have been added since. It's structurally exactly the same, but there's there's some synth and orchestral bits added to it to give it a bit more of a thicker, polished production. That's what we were aiming for. Hopefully it's come off all right.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I
again,
really like the original, but I've got to say, I love that brooding, high-registered, palm-muted riff at the beginning, and there's good interplay between guitar and bass there. To me, it's rock music with a capital R, but it's also got a real hostility in that chorus, isn't it? There's a real metallic edge to it as well. Fantastic Machine Head riff, I would say, in the mid late. I don't know, Matt, if they're one of your favourite bands, Machine Head. Always have been for me. Definitely, Rob Flynn would be proud of that. And there's a really good extravaganza, a wah-wah solo towards the end. I think the guitar obviously dominates. We're talking about hard rock and metal here, aren't we? Inevitably, but good pulse, good energy to this song. What was your experience like recording this in the studio, Matt, underwater?
So yeah, underwater. This was recorded in another session with a different drummer at the time. We had the lineup change. Our original drummer had to leave, so we got a contact with Jamie, who was a great drummer. But I remember in the studio he had a really hard time to actually get the song. Just maybe he was suffering from the red light syndrome, because on the rehearsals was spot on, obviously. So it took a long time to record the drums. The guitars. So Marius just came up with some extra guitars in the studio. Really, we had just a structure. Obviously, it was like a ready song, but he's really good at adding stuff on the spot. So that turned out pretty well. Obviously, we were in the studio that was familiar for us by then, and our sound engineer knew exactly how we would like to do that. But we were giving him some hard time with mixing and mastering, because everybody wants to have their input, and I think this is great, because everybody contributing to the song creation process. So it's what I said, when Marius is like the main songwriter, he lays down the riffs, but then obviously we put it through our expressions, saying, maybe you can play it like that, maybe you can play it like that, and that's how it comes together. Yeah, that was great recording it. But I remember also when we were making the video for that. So the song is about how you can be isolated even when you're in a crowd. You can feel alienated and even feel hostility, something like that. So we wanted to have like some kind of a crowd, but obviously with a limited budget, all we could afford is the projector.
Yeah, that works, by the way. I do think that is quite effective.
So yeah, that was a good idea. Yeah, we found that old building in Bedford. It used to be a Polish community house, really old building, and they were just preparing that room to be some kind of a studio or something. So it was really, obscure, with bare boards and old paintings and stuff like that, which I thought it was pretty interesting, because metal songs are usually dark and everything. We just make it different. It's very bright, and the vocalist is, we're all wearing black and he's in white, just kind of to convey the message. It was fun.
Definitely, you're right. There's definitely no cliche of being in a dark warehouse there, is there, or an abandoned factory, which most bands still use as their settings. We've grown up watching these videos and we're used to it.
Still desperate to do one of those, though.
I know, exactly. I was watching Soundgarden Outshine the other day, and that's probably like the archetypal example, isn't it, where they're in this, it's not even an abandoned factory, it's a factory that's about to be mothballed, but it's still, the furnaces are still working. And yeah, because I've watched them all my life, if I was in a band, I agree, Jim, I'd still want to do at least one of them.
Yeah. That or a wood, we haven't done a wood yet. Everyone's done a wood.
Yeah, no, exactly. And especially, a lot of the bands, you were in Metal to the Masses as the Hitchin, weren't you, in Hertfordshire? we've got so much woodland around here that just about every band uses that, don't they? Understandably. Before we move on to the next single, then, Jim, do you want to just quickly summarise? You said that the re-recording of Underwater structurally is the same. Can you just repeat what additional aspects is it going to have, this song?
I don't want to spoil it too much. We'll wait until the release comes out. But there's a lot more orchestration involved in it. So there's some strings. There's some synthy stuff. We're trying to not water it down too much. It's more to add texture, particularly in moments of quiet. But one of the things we were trying to achieve is we've only got the one guitarist, but in the recorded songs we often have a rhythm and a lead part. And so, the question is, how do you replicate that live? Well, you could get a second guitarist, and we have been looking for second guitarists. But in the meantime, one way to achieve that is to play with a backing track. Mm. And on that backing track, rather than have a recorded second guitar, which I think struggles to come through PAs quite well, a pre-recorded guitar doesn't generally sound as good as something that's been mic'd up live in the venue. There's something missing. So instead of doing that, we look at other instrumentation to see if we can achieve some of the weight, some of the width in a different way. So yes, sort of stuff to look forward to. Yeah,
I understand that conundrum. If you're using overdubs in the studio, how do you replicate that live? It's like when I used to listen to Rage Against the Machine, and I'd always think, how are they going to play that live? Because the rhythm guitar is still very prominent in the mix when Tom Morello's doing a solo. But like you say, backing track, great idea, and orchestrations could fill certainly some of those frequency ranges that drop out when you go to a lead part. So let's move on to the fourth single. And I'm going to call this a suicide awareness song. Really poignant lyrics. And this is The Demons I Hide, released in January 2020, ironically, 2 months before lockdown. So probably wasn't anywhere in Matt Haynes' headspace. What are your thoughts on this song, gents?
Well, this is the song that I heard when I was asked to come and audition for the band. And I was like, okay, yes, this is the song that I like. So, top marks from me. Love it. Well done, Matt, for writing it, or being involved in the writing process.
So Demons was, again, it was recorded in the same session as Underwater. Obviously, it was our second session, so we were more relaxed and it went smoother than the first one. But, the songs have come to life really because at some point we felt that we want something more like a ballad, so it kind of have the soft guitar, kind of groovy, funky bass, and we haven't been thinking that's gonna be suicide awareness song, but it's just when Mark heard it, this is what he felt like. I think he's been going through some really bad times, but yeah, again, it came out as a great song. It's all behind him, I believe. But this is basically like a stamp in time, what was happening at that time.
Very brave as well, isn't it? To bare your soul like that. Very brave, candid, sincere as well. Yeah, I agree. I know what you mean. I'm right. Did you play this at Club 85 in Hitchin 2 weeks ago? This song, "The Demons I Hide." Apologies. By then, you were the fourth band on. I must have been on my sixth pint by then. So one of them. What song did you play? I know I enjoyed the set.
we played it as the last song. Yes, that was our closest one. Mm-hmm. At the beginning, to be honest, I wasn't really sure if this is a song for a live set. We had one gig in London. It didn't really work out, so we kind of dropped it for a while. But when Jim came in and he was really into that song, again, he made some great synths to it.
I twisted your arm, didn't I? I love that song. We have to.
Yeah. I wasn't even sure about that thick bass at the last verse. I put a lot of notes there. I wasn't sure if it's working, but I think it is.
The drums
I just
are
love
quite
some of the
ambitious,
riffs in it, and the light and the shade, the power that comes through. You know, you've got these really spacious, empty verses, and then these power, choruses. I love the energy, the difference in energy and
Again,
dynamics.
as you said, it is like a bit of an anthem, maybe better than Speak to Me.
Yeah, it's almost got you're right, spacious. It's got a prog metal vibe to it, in my opinion. And the drums are very ambitious. Jim, you'll be able to just confirm the technicality of this. There's some double kick action. Is it in the pre-chorus? Is he playing triplets there on the double kick?
There was some double kick, but as I came from an alt rock background, I never learned to play double kick. I tried it a couple of times, so the new version doesn't have that. Instead, there are sections where I'm sort of alternating between fast singles on the kick drum and the floor tom with my right hand, to try and replicate some of that. But it's yes, so that's a change when we re-release it. The double kicks will probably disappear to a certain extent.
Yeah,
but yes, it was pretty technical before. I don't know how well Jamie was playing it.
I think that would be a good challenge, wouldn't it? You know, if you fill in those gaps with something else. And I think this is the only song where he does where the drums do that. That's why people will say, "Oh, it's more of a almost new metal type approach." Or metalcore really brought that in, didn't it? After hearing Meshuggah and bands like that, they started doing that where they would accent the chugging guitars. I think this is the only one where I heard it. So, what if we go on to the fifth song then, Legacy? This is the last song that you recorded, isn't it? It's out there in the public domain. August 2021. 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Jim, did you record on this one, or were you still not part of the band?
Yeah, that was me.
Let's kick off with you then. This is the first one where you've been in the studio with the guys. What do you remember about recording this song, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, it was great. It was the first time I was there with Neil, who runs Parlour Studios. Really top guy. Recommend any bands that are local to the area go see him. He's very good. Just had a blast. Loved the song. Again, it felt this production felt more modern on some level to me. Nothing to do with me playing on it. I just think I don't know, maybe he had some different mics or something, but it just sounded great. I think most of the members of the band had new instruments for this for this recording, and we were just all psyched to get back into the studio together. So we had a blast for, was it a day or 2 days? I can't remember. It was a great time.
Yeah, I think we recorded in a day. Mm-hmm. So just to add, because you probably noticed there's a different vocalist on that one. Have you?
I didn't.
Petra's version.
No, I didn't detect it because I'll tell you why. Because it's so hard to find information about your band.
Oh, is it?
Like the names of the musicians, even on your band.
Yes,
page, on your Facebook page where I could find it. So no,
yes,
so what's going on here then with a different vocalist?
So if you check the YouTube, we released a video for it as well. And basically the song was ready for some time. Obviously there was all the COVID madness and everything, but we will still kind of find a way to rehearse and work on our stuff. But at the time, as I mentioned, Matt had found his job that required him to travel a lot. So we were like, well, can you be in the band and do that? And he wasn't sure at the time. So we started looking for another vocalist, and we found Aaron, that I mentioned before, who was with us for a couple of months. We actually recorded the song, and then he decided to leave because of some personal issues. Luckily, might find a way to actually work around his schedules and everything, so he jumped back in. But obviously there's a different vocalist. We have also a version with Matt, but the official single is with Aaron. So yeah, as Jim said, it's I think that's a peak of our performance, really. That's the first song you can actually hear synths that Jim is making, which really adds pace at the edges, I think. The song is not, it's not overly complicated, I would say. It have just standard chorus, verse, but I think it's really great. I really like to, because we always want to create the songs that we would like to hear in the radio or on YouTube. So I like it. I think it might be big.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I agree. There's elements of symphonic metal in this. So, Jim, now I understand that this is the first song you recorded. I'd certainly think you've inserted something new into the mix on this thing. It is a good. I'd say it's a glorious singing voice at the beginning from Aaron. To me, probably my favourite song out of your singles to date, out of the 5 that you've released. And you said you want this to be played on the radio. Well, let me read back the chorus to you. I long to see when poverty is dead. I long to see when the world is fed. To see the day when the rich are bled of wealth and power in this world of ours. That's an overtly socialist message, isn't it?
Well, this is the lyrics are actually written by Matt, not Aaron. So,
okay.
So, well,
I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, by the way. What the political.
You cannot be blind to what's going on around the world. It's just, especially now, I think it's even more relevant now because of the just raging inflation and people just getting more poor with no fault of their own, really. It's just a decision that's, someone made for us. So, was it a good decision? I don't know. I don't think so.
It captures the spirit of the times, you're right, aren't you? There is that disenchantment with the political process, with our elected leaders, with the phantom elite who we think we can identify and we can't, who is pulling the strings behind every institution in our advanced societies. So yeah, I mean, he just stood out for me, that, and it comes from the heart, it comes from a bleeding heart, doesn't it, as well? And there's an unbelievable guitar solo in this near the end, and a crushing riff. You end this really, it's really muscular, the ending, isn't it, as well? I think you wanted to end this with a nod to, okay, you want the goods, here they are. What do you think about the outro to this song, Jim?
Oh, heavy. I love playing it. It's just smashing the crap out of my China cymbal.
Yeah,
just go back to the solo slightly. I mean, Marius in the studio, the guitarist, he's just on another level. It took him, I think, 2 takes to do the solo, and it's technical again. He's a machine. Yeah. So yeah, we had such a good time recording this.
Yeah.
When I'm watching him in the videos as well, I know he's a good guitar player because I always look out how often does the lead guitar player use their little finger. If it's someone playing, complex pentatonic patterns, they'll never use that. The fret stretches he's doing, you can just tell straight away that he's a real top-class guitar player, that's gone beyond blues and really into the more virtuosic type technical metal. So yeah, I congratulations on that last single, and Jim, it's clear you've had an influence, and now you're part of the band. You've got the first song where you've contributed on record. Sounds like you've got a great dynamic. So can you just sum up for us then? What are the plans for the rest of 2023?
Yeah, I think what we'd like to do is we'd like to get gigging a little bit more. We've, I think, coming out of COVID, I don't feel like the local scene's really fully recovered yet. It's starting to pick up, which is great news. And it was lovely to play with a bunch of really great bands, about to the Masses and Hitchin last week or a couple of weeks ago, and so we'd like to do more of that, but we'd also really like to get our recorded presence in a better place. I think lots of bands make it through their first couple of years, they produce maybe a 4-track EP, and I think we're now stable enough where we can take the next step. So I'd like to see us release a really well produced LP or album, or something more substantial than just 4 or 5 tracks. So that's what I'd like to see.
Excellent. Matt, 30 seconds. Do you want to summarise anything you want to add to that about where you see the band going, certainly over the next, for the remainder of the year?
Yeah. So we've been kind of thinking about releasing an album for some time, and I think it's a good time to do that, really, because every time we were on kind of high notes, something happened. Either the drummer has been leaving, or the pandemic, obviously. So fingers crossed, everything gonna work out. We already laid some tracks for another 3 songs that we have in the pipeline that will go to the album. And yeah, we're hoping to finish this year. If it's gonna happen, I hope so.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight to go through your discography. And I'm sure I will see you at your next show, certainly if you're playing in the Hertfordshire area. Thanks, guys.